Last one. Last one. Oh, obviously only getting it out of the car, then I've got to get it all the way to the allotment. And obviously, it was sunshine when we arrived and now it's chucking it down. Of course. Ugh. Ooh-wee.
Didn't it rain?
Yep.
I'm glad you left that car there. I'm just going to say that's not a very good idea to take that out. Right.
Right, Mum is going to leave me with this pile and that wheelbarrow, and she's going to have her stitches out.
Right.
Timed that nicely.
I did. I'll come back when I'm
Yeah,
finished.
I'll see you when you're done. Bye. Okay, right. How many bags have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14! 14! Thank you very much, RocketGro. I wish you'd arranged better weather. Okay, how many can I get in there at a time? Probably 4? Oh, it's going to be a number of trips. It is just going to be a number of trips, isn't it? Right, let's go. Ooh, yep, first load done, Lily Maloo. Let's go get the other lot. Right, I'm not going to film me wheeling compost backwards and forwards because firstly boring and also makes it take longer. Neither of those things are advantageous. Hey girlies, I know, but I can't let you out until I've got the compost up here because there's no one to look after you girlies. No. I think I've only got 2 more loads to go though, girls. I do. 2 more and then you can come out. Yeah, okay. Right. Let's go get that compost. Well, would you look at that for a surprise present? Magic mulch, multi-purpose, seed and cutting, and fruit and veg compost. I am a happy bunny rabbit. We're done, Lils. We're done. I'm really excited about giving that stuff a go. Because there is some terrible peat-free compost out there, and which is a terrible shame. Anyway, girlies, I know I'm finished. Are you ready to come out? I think you are. They are so desperate to come out. I've been coming in and out. That ended up taking like 5 trips. And every time I'm coming around the top corner, they're like shouting at me, let us out. Come on, let us out. Well, out as they can get these days. Obviously not proper free range girlies, but you know, I'm going to stop teasing them and let them out. Look, I know I go on about the weather. I'm English, like it's my main mode of conversation, but what is happening with the weather today? I'm doing a hokey cokey with my coat, right? It is like raining, then beautiful sunshine, then raining, then beautiful sunshine. And it feels like just seconds between. It's not like they're kind of rolling over and you get a bit of, there's nothing. And now it's raining again, isn't it, girlies? What is going on? Anyway, what am I going to do today? That is the question. My main task was to get the compost up here. Go inside, girls. It's wet. Go inside. What are you doing? I think we've got Lily in here. I just saw her tuck herself in there somewhere. Can we see her? There she is. Are you hiding, little girlie? Yeah, it's crappy, isn't it? You stay in here. I don't know what you're doing, girls. Go inside. stupid weather we're having. So actually, two things I did want to do today. Firstly, I was going to sort out some of that wood, which I'm just, it seems to be stopping raining again now. So I'll just wait for the sunshine and then I'll sort out some of that wood. And also, when Mum gets back from having her stitches out, we've got a booking at the dump, but it's mainly recycling. And we've got a lot of stuff up here that's kind of, we've had a bit of a clear out. So we're going to take a lot of that stuff up with us, I think. We are, girls. Yes, we are. Yes. And then I'm going to take you on a bit of a tour of the daffodils because we've got so many different varieties out and they're all beautiful. Break in the rain, but we've got a helicopter, but no rain and helicopter is better than rain and no helicopter. That's my reasoning anyway, so sorry about the noise. But what I am going to sow, I'm just going to try and do something today that's useful rather than just come up here and wait for Mum to show up before we can go home. I'm going to sow some spinach and I'm going to sow it direct. Spinach. I'm doing two types of spinach. I'm doing the Americano. Is that the Americano? Yeah, Americano one, which is a right fat chap. Sorry about the wind. The Americano spinach is really, really fat and really, really delicious. It's a lovely spinach. We first grew it. We had some from Frankie seeds. Just a great variety. It grows quite flat, but if you protect it, it grows huge. And what's funny about it is that it has very, very fat, cylindrical, hollow stems, and then really quite round, big leaves that can get to like this. They're big chaps. The other one I'm doing is a much more standard, like cut and come again, salady type spinach. It's called Amelia. You know, just like standard chap that you always get. Exciting, bog standard, both marvelous. I'm going to put them in the bed where I've got the broad beans, the few that survived the cold. So I'm going to put, I've left all that space at that end. Actually, let me just turn the camera around so I can tell you what I'm talking about. This is the bed that I'm going to put them in. These are the broad beans that survived the cold. It was meant to be 3 rows with, I think there was going to be 2, 4, 6, 8, like 10 in each row. As you can see, I've got about 2, maybe 3 survived in each row, but I've got the ones down in the greenhouse that are going to infill those. So I'm leaving that whole section of this bed over to broad beans. Then at this end I've got this wonderful American cress which has been stunning. I sewed this, or actually self-sewed, but it was like all the way across this bed, and I just shuffled the self-sewn bits against this edge. So, but this has been pickable since what, September, and we've been eating it all winter. You can see it's just starting to go over, but I'm going to leave it a bit longer because it's absolutely delicious and we're still eating it. But what I was supposed to be saying, sorry about that, is this section in the middle here that does have a few rogue cresses in it. It's also got a couple of kohlrabi that did nothing last year, but I left them in. Gonna whip all of that out, and in the center here we are going to have spinach. That was a long ramble to tell you where I was sowing spinach, wasn't it? Anyway, that's what I'm doing next, and hopefully when I finish that, Mum's going to have arrived back. Sans stitches. I'm not even going to bother watering that in because here it comes. Yep, I am back in the shed and it's raining again. And the girlies still haven't gone in. Go in, girls, that's right. Go in where it's not raining. Come on. Ugh. You coming in, Lily? Right, somebody's back. Also not impressed with the weather.
Frozen.
Yep.
It's so cold.
It's just not nice. And you know how I was saying it's getting like sunny, rainy, sunny, rainy, sunny. Well, it was when every time it started raining. I'm talking about the weather again. I'm sorry.
Blue sky.
Oh, is there?
Just there.
Oh, I'm not going out to look. But we do have to pick some lunch, and we do have to get the stuff together to go to the recycling centre. So I better put my coat back on. Mum is now in the greenhouse, looking soggy and cold. I, as you can tell, am still in the shed, not soggy, but cold. Oh wait, but now we have rain and sunshine. Sunshine! It's not warm in here. I've just tipped. We rarely have to take things to the dump, to be honest. We don't have any waste disposal on site, but most things we either reuse or repair or try and find another use for them. There's some things like this big black bin here. We've had it for years and it's been eaten at the top and the bottom by rats, and we just don't want it anymore, and we need to get rid of it. So it is going to the dump. There's also a couple of bags of bits of broken glass, which we found when we were clearing around the back of the greenhouse, so that has to be taken off site. And we have a couple of bags of things which we're taking to the council's green waste disposal. Well, I can definitely get that one in.
Right, okay, well, let's just see if we can get the other one. Just close this up again. Did you see the roots on these things in here?
On which things? Potatoes are emerging. Woohoo! So we will top them up when we get a chance. Everything else is looking pretty good in here actually. The onions are basically ready to go out. The broad beans, like really different stages. We've got ones like this size and we've got ones that are only just, can you see that just starting to come through? But they will be going out at some point. The peas are doing their thing.
These are looking a bit
Sweet peas are desperate to go out.
Yes.
The onions are looking good. This is the beetroot and spring onions that we just brought up today, so they should really benefit from being in here. And I also brought up the nipper leeks and the zebrun shallots, so they'll just carry on doing what they're doing in here rather than what they've been doing at home, which is pretty tick. So now I've got all that stuff. Oh God, now it's beautiful sunshine again. So now we've got all of that stuff into the wheelbarrow. We're just going to take that round to the car, but before we go I'm going to pick some flowers off the Cavallonero because it is flowering and they are So this is what happens when you let, so these are the Cavallonero leaves that they normally produce. They will start to produce one flower on top, which looks like this. So you get one kind of broccoli spike on top. And what you want to do is once that's kind of formed, you nip that out. And then all the little sprouts, which are coming at the joint of the leaf, they start growing and they end up growing like this. And then you take that off and it's like a purple sprouting broccoli, but it is one of the most delicious things. Absolutely delicious. So as you can see, this one that's got the long sprouts has had its top cut off, and they won't start producing these long sprouts until you've taken the top off. Otherwise they tend to just put all the energy into that top one and that will open. So you don't want this to open. That one's gone a little bit too far, so I'm going to take that one out. I mean, that's still perfectly edible, but what I mean is once it's really open to flower, they don't tend to produce really lovely ones underneath. So you want to, once you've nipped that top one off, that's when the rest of them really start producing. So you want to take that one off first. And you want to pick these guys when they're about like this. Don't let them get too big because otherwise they can get a bit stringy. But yeah, delicious second crop. I've just walked past the pond and I've just seen, I was looking for frog spawn. We don't have any frog spawn. What we do have is masses of strings of toad spawn. Have a look at this. So where toad spawn, frog spawn, sorry, is all like clumpy together, you know what frog spawn looks like. Toad spawn looks like this. So it's the same thing, but just in really long strings. Can you see it all? Just stringing through the whole lot in like chains rather than clumps. Woo, can you see it?
I can see it. Yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
a string of pearls.
It does.
Black pearls.
Well, that is pretty exciting. Right, let's go to the dump and then I think we'll call it a day.
I know, girlies, we're here. Girlies, we're here.
Ooh.
This is a big start.
It is. It is.
Big start.
Hello, Malou.
It stopped raining.
I'll protect you. Yes, good morning. It is another day when, if I'm perfectly honest, I would rather not actually be up here. It's cold, it's wet, it's grey, and it's windy, which is a wonderful combination for both gardening and filming. However, yesterday, the only thing I managed to achieve was to sow that spinach. It was not acceptable. So today we're up here for a bit more action, and I think the best way to get into action mode, get the list going on the board. We're going to get the kettle on because just it's needed. What I really want to do today is to fill up the carrot bed with some of the RocketGro compost that we brought up yesterday and some of our own compost, because I want to get sowing my carrots really, and we're going to have supposedly we're supposed to be getting some quite good weather in like a week's time. And what I would like to have happened is for the weed seeds to have germinated in like the top layer of the compost that I'm putting in there before I sow carrots, because if it happens afterwards, you know, it's just better to get them out the way first. So I want to get that compost in there settled and have a germination of the weed seeds and stuff before I want to get the carrots in. So I'm going to get that done today. And then what else are we doing? I mean, the things that I do need to do is to get those onions out. The ones that are in the greenhouse need to go infilling the gaps in that bed, and same with the broad beans, need to infill the broad beans which got by the really cold weather we had. But we're about to have, so at the moment it's like 6 today, and it's going to go back down to 1 in 2 days time, and then after that I think that is the last of the cold, she says, with everything crossed, legs as well. But it means I don't really want to chuck them out right now because it's a bit harsh, so I'm not going to do that. But carrots, as long as I can get that carrot bed done today, I will be happy. This is the same carrot bed that I've been using the last couple of years, but it hasn't been in this location. It was back down the end near the shed. I don't know if you remember, I moved this about 3 weeks ago, I think it was. Moved it up here, and it's just sat on 4 bricks on the corners to keep it level and stable, which means it just goes straight down onto the soil. So I'm going to use one of the cardboard boxes that the compost came in as a base layer that will go underneath the compost. It's got a bit soggy because I left it out of the rain, but never mind. And for the edges, to stop the compost falling through the sides of the slats, I'm going to line it with some of this felty weed-proof matting. You can get a couple of types of weed-proof matting, and one of them is a real stringy plastic horrible mess that we have picked up before, and I just won't ever use it again. It's awful stuff. But this felt stuff actually seems to work quite well, and it doesn't seem to shred itself into the soil and leave, you know, bits of plastic everywhere, which is thumbs up. So this bed is just going to have the weed-proof matting on the edges. I'm going to staple it to the top, and the bottom will be open to the soil. Bar the layer of cardboard, it will be open to the soil underneath. Okay, well that's that roughly lined, and we've got some of the cardboard from, thank you very much, RocketGro on the bottom. I mean, these are a bit flappy, but as soon as I get compost in there, that will be fine. And the first layer of compost that I'm going to put on is actually the stuff that we've dug out from bin 2 to bin 3, but it looks really good. It's dry and it's quite consistent. So I'm going to put that as the base layer, and then I will be going for a mixture of RocketGro and some of our own sieved stuff on top of that. So yeah, I'm doing the RocketGro one that's got the John Innes in it because carrots want quite free draining soil. So I'm going to put that one in there because it's more soily than some of the other compost because it's got the John Innes in it, obviously. Yeah, so we'll see how far that fills up. I mean, beds are always so deceptive when you're trying to fill them up. They seem to take 4 times the quantity of themselves in compost to fill, so it's just all the way. But yes, I'm going to start filling that up, and then I will see how far we get with that. first impressions, looks all right. I mean, it's pretty fibrous, but you always get that with compost. There's bits of stick in there, but I don't think it's going to be too bad. Actually, I'm quite pleasantly surprised by that. So I'm going to just let that settle now for like a week or so. I was thinking we were going to put our own sieved compost on the surface, but it turns out I've actually already used that to put the potatoes in. So we don't have any of sieved our own compost. So I'm just going to leave that, but it does mean that the weeds probably aren't going to come racing out of that unless the compost is really weedy, but I doubt it, because normally when you buy, you know, bagged compost, it's not. It's only your own, or only our own, that's absolutely like more weed seed than soil. But anyway, stop rambling. I think that's quite good. I'm going to leave that for a week, and then we're going to sow some carrots and some coriander in there. I will put the box on that though. The box is also handy because it stops, I mean, it's originally carrot root fly to stop that getting in, but it also produces brilliant coriander because it stops the wind and it's just lush and perfect, but it also stops the weed seeds blowing in, which is another bonus. So I'm going to put that back on and then let that settle, and we've actually achieved something today.
What it means is it's not seed compost, which is really finely sieved. Yes.
We've been filming around here with the old carrot box. Look at this. The pear is just coming into blossom. Looking beautiful. Stunning. Mum's trying to clear. So this is the next thing that we have to do, really. I don't know whether we're going to do it today. Probably not. It's a bit wet. But this area here is where our Jerusalem artichokes have been this year. And this line, obviously the badgers have been digging it, so it's a bit all over the place, but this line here, I'm just going to move it slightly so that it's in line with the edge of the compost bin, and then we will move the artichokes just slightly further over that way, won't we?
Yes.
That is what we're planning. Okay, something I do need to remember to do today is to hunt down, so I'm just staring at my pots, hunt down some root trainers, because that sweet corn is raring to go at home. It has germinated happily in its kitchen roll. And I know that I've got one set of root trainers in here, over there, that has got the sweet peas in, but I know I have another set somewhere, so I'm just going to go and look for them. Right, we've got to take these root trainers home with us, so I'm going to stick them on the table and attempt not to forget them.
I mustn't forget the stapler too.
Oh yeah, I'll put that with it.
It's got his staples in it.
I'll just take that box home.
Is this some of those too?
Mum is having a bit of a shuffle in here.
Where does this go? Where did this come from?
It was just lying, yeah, lying, but I'll put it in the netting shed because that's where it's supposed to be.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, look, having a sweep.
Can't get in here, that's why.
We've just been doing that, you know, when you just open the door and throw things in technique of putting stuff away, which is never good. Especially seems spring is coming and we're going to want to be up here all the time. At the moment it's just like, you know, dash, and when the rain comes, just throw everything in the shed and run. A bit like here, I call this the netting shed, but mainly it's got like dismantled swing seat, you know, soft cushions and weed matting. Loads of netting though, so it does deserve its name. Got a spare one of those beds in here actually that I've just filled up for the carrot bed, so I'll find somewhere for that. But yeah, that is another shed that I need to sort out. Another thing, well, while I'm up here, although the citronella does, I mean, I'm being cautious about saying it, but it does feel like it's worked. Because we've had one little bit of digging in the old asparagus bed. Oh no, not the old one, the new asparagus bed, sorry. But other than that, I mean, touch wood pile. Doesn't seem to have been too much activity, but I did have a lot of questions, or remarks probably rather than questions, remarks about how confident I was being about planting my tomatoes. Planting my tomatoes? It's got nothing to do with it. Getting my potatoes in the ground is what I was supposed to be saying here. As you can see, I succumbed to worry and I've covered it with mesh. I walked away thinking, oh yes, you know, I'm quite confident that they'll be fine, and then I was like, actually, I'm just lying in bed thinking about my poor potatoes in the ground being predated on by badgers. So yeah, it's now meshed over for anybody who was fretting about my potatoes for me. God, I just don't know what else to do up here today. Oh, I do know actually. So the brassica cage, let's go and have a look in there, because pants news on the 9-star broccoli front, but one of the tree cabbages is flowering, so I'm going to take some flowers home with me today. Welcome to the perennial brassica cage, which is actually a bit more of a sarcophagus than a protection at the moment because of the 9-star broccoli, which I totally thought was hardy. I mean, we'd never had a problem with it before, but then we haven't been down to -8 here in living memory. So, bit of a shocker. Anyway, I think they're dead. Currently, no signs of life whatsoever. There's the tiniest little bit of green left on there, but it looks very, very sad, and the smell of like rotting cabbage in here is a delight. But yeah, it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, a couple of the plants I think are completely dead. I am not taking them out yet, just in case by some miracle they start sprouting from the bottom. But one of them has actually started sprouting from the bottom. Do you see this one? So dead as dead on top, but we have got 3 sprouting bits at the base down there. Now they had already started sprouting before the cold, so they seem to have been really well protected at the bottom, rather than kind of sprouting after the plants really suffered all that trauma. But they seem to have survived, so yay, I've got that. But I think the other ones are gone. However, something that has survived brilliantly is the Asturian tree cabbage, which is looking, as you can see, comparison. Yeah, which is looking fantastic, and it is just coming into sprouts time. So a bit like the Cavolo Nero yesterday, I'm going to take the sprouts off. Actually, I've left that one a bit long, but I'll take that main head off, and then all the little ones which are coming underneath in all the joints will spark out, and we'll have beautiful tree cabbage sprouts. Oh yeah, look, that one's got huge too. But yeah, so I'm going to pick those now and just enjoy the fact that my tree cabbage is still alive, and forget the fact that my 9-star isn't. The main difference between the tree cabbages flowering and the Cavolo Nero flowering, though, is that the tree cabbages are perennial, so it's really important to take the flowers off even if you're not going to eat them. With the Cavolo Nero, it's just a single season plant. When it's finished doing what it's doing, it's over. The tree cabbages, if you let it flower, it will die. Like, if you make sure you take all those flowers off, you'll have it for another year. So it's extra important to take these flowers off, even if they're only going to go to the chickens. Ours are not going to go to the chickens. We're going to eat them because they're delicious. A lovely bit of acid green. I just love the colour of those tree cabbages. They are so bright. Look at those beauties. The thing I'm going to do before we head off today, you know that spinach that I planted out yesterday? You know, I said it was about to get, well, it's not freezing cold, but like possibly down to 1 either tonight or tomorrow. I don't know why I'm walking away, I'm walking the opposite direction, but that thing there, I'm gonna just put over the top of it, just give it a bit of a head start. I think that will be a good move. Right. It's currently doing nothing on here. We've just got a couple of strawberries underneath it waiting to be moved into the asparagus bed, so it's not doing anything. May as well go on the spinach. This cloche has convenient little pegging places, so I can peg this down, it won't blow away, unlike the other ones. Lovely, 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 lovely. We're thinking it's probably time to take the light excluders off the forced rhubarb. This was all very makeshift this year. We've just used flower pots and tried to block out the light from the holes, which has meant that the rhubarb itself inside hasn't been able to get very tall because it's been in quite an enclosed space. But I'm pretty happy with what we have got. And just that bit of forcing. So forcing just means where you block out the light and you force it to grow very, very fast because it's looking for the light, and they tend to be anemic looking. You know, they're very, very pale, but they're tender. And they do actually taste really quite different to non-forced rhubarb. And so it's nice, even if this isn't a massive harvest, it's nice to get a little bit because it's delicious. And I think it's going to be whisked home and turned into a cake. Okay, we're going to leave them uncovered now. Poor things, we shouldn't have really tried to force them in the first place because this is the first year we've moved them. Poor things. But you know, they'll be fine now. They can,
good though, isn't it?
yeah, but that one we didn't cover. But yeah, so that's obviously the big one over there. But these two, they'll recover just fine, I'm sure. It's amazing how quickly they kind of green up once they get the light. But yeah, excellent.
It smells lovely. Come on, darling.
And on that note, we're going to call it a day and head home. Yeah. Right. Home, and we managed to avoid rain. I mean, that's the first time we've been up to the allotment with no rain for ages. Right, well anyway, I remembered to bring the root trainers home for the sweet corn. And I'm going to get that in. I mean, this week I had intended to get the courgettes, proper cucumbers. I mean, by proper cucumbers, I mean not the super early ones, like the normal standard time cucumbers. And the pumpkins, I meant to get them in this week, but it hasn't happened. And I mean, with the weather like this, just doesn't seem right anyway. So I'm just going to get the sweet corn in here. Do you remember that I started my sweet corn off under kitchen roll? Hold on. So this is my little pot. Managed to keep it wet. And these are my sprouted, sorry, I need two hands. These are my beautiful, can you see that? Beautiful sprouted little sweet corn. Not all of them have germinated, which is kind of what I was trying to avoid because I'm putting them in those root trainers. The root trainers take so much compost, and what doesn't come up you can't shuffle around, so then you just got this huge block that you can't do anything with. If only like a third of your sweet corn has germinated, which is what keeps happening to me, then you've just got this huge block of stuff. Anyway, hence I wanted to pre-germinate them, so I was pretty much guaranteed that the ones that I did sow are going to come up. So I just need to count who has germinated and who hasn't, and then fill up my root trainers accordingly. I can't just have like half a tray of root trainers and leave the other ones made up, because then the whole thing falls apart. But I don't have to fill them all with compost. So that's what I'm going to do. So although there's an advantage in doing this in that you know who's going to germinate and who's not, they are incredibly delicate at this stage. So I've counted here, I've got about 16 good strong ones that I'm going to plant up into the soil. But at this stage, they're just so fragile. Whereas unpre-germinated sweet corn is really, really tough and you can just force it straight into the soil. These ones have got this very delicate little taproot and the tiny little sprout on top that I want to be really careful that I don't snap off in the process of planting them. So I'm going to fill my root trainers and then push in a hole that's deep enough to take the root and the sprout. Place the sprouted sweet corn in there, tail down, and then just carefully fill it in with a bit of soil, and then use water to infill those holes so that I'm not putting any pressure on the top of the sweet corn that might snap them inside. They're just really vulnerable at this stage. And having gone to the trouble of pre-germinating them, if I snap them all off when they're planting and I still end up with nothing, that wouldn't be the best outcome. And that, chaps, is the first lot of sweet corn in for the year. Cheers. So despite the weather, we actually got some things done this week. Got some spinach in, which is brilliant. Carrot bed, made progress with that, and got the sweet corn in. Yeah, and to be honest, in a week where what I would really have done if I wasn't doing this vlog, because I've got you to thank, if I wasn't doing this vlog, I would have just hidden inside this week, hidden away from the pants weather, but I didn't, and we got some things achieved. Didn't get the courgettes in, but it just doesn't feel right in weather like this. So that's going to be first thing on my list for next week. After this 1 degree night we've got coming up, then as far as I can see into the future of the weather forecast, looks like we're on the way out of it. So we should be into like full spring by then. Having said that, even though the weather's been pants, the daffs are definitely making it feel like spring. And actually at the very end of this video, after we've done, you know, back up to the sky bit, I'm just going to do a little peruse because we've got so many different daffs out at the moment. I'm just going to end the video on like a selection of the daffs that we've got going on. But yeah, so not too bad. And next week, chaps, next week is going to be episode 156, which means I've been doing this for 3 whole years. Holy smoke. Yeah, 3 years without missing a Tuesday. That's... So next week is going to be a bit of a celebration. It also happens to coincide with my birthday, so there'll be double whammy celebration. It's going to be less about looking back, so I don't know if you remember my 2nd year anniversary. We did a great huge look back at what had happened in the year. We will have a bit of a look back because we have had quite an eventful year, but it's going to be mainly about looking forward and plans that we've got for the plot. Got a couple of quite exciting bits and pieces lined up, which is rather nice. Yeah, so next week basically is just going to be quite celebratory, looking forward, but I will get the courgettes in. I will get the courgettes in next week. I've been meaning to do it for 2 weeks, but the weather this week just really did not feel right to be putting in courgettes. So cheers to everybody who is watching this on Monday night, my incredible patrons who are basically what has kept this channel going for the full 3 years. Just a huge cheers to you, and also cheers to everybody else on the Tuesday or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whenever you're watching it. Just huge cheers. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week for episode 156, 3 years of Plot 37. Cheers.